How's it going, Song of Ice and Fire fans? Grant from Yecats Miniatures with the next Season 6 changelog update. And today we're looking at the most noble of houses, the Lords of the North, House Stark. And I'm joined once again, as promised, by Karl Christy. How's it going, Karl?
Very well, mate. Thank you. Very well. Thanks for having me on. It feels such an honour being in the company of the Welsh GT 2024 champion with House Stark.
Oh, yeah.
I'm flattered, mate.
I don't like to talk about it too much, if I'm honest with you, mate. Can we... I get embarrassed. I won that so hard that I actually had to retire from the game for a little time. So
yeah, understandable, mate. Yeah, understandable.
Well, yeah. Awesome. Cool. I mean, it's been quite a sunny day today, so it feels a bit wrong. We're talking about the Lords of the North, but I think we should just plough through it, pretend we are cold. So, right. So we're going to go through some of these questions, and I guess that we went through yesterday on Night's Watch, but obviously this time related to Stark. So, first and foremost, the neutral commander changes. Do we think that's having a massive impact on the Stark build?
As per the Night's Watch conversation, I don't think so. Starks have got a lot of very good commanders. I think thematically, Roos does kind of fit in with the storyline. So there is the feel sad about that. But for the rest of it, you know, Dario Naharis and Fargo Hote and co, that it's not thematic, is it? So, you know, there's a part of me, I want to say 75% no, 25% yes, just because of Roos.
Yeah. I think that was always nice to be able to run Roos lists with the House Stark army, because it's still a Northern army. Obviously, we've got House Bolton now as a separate faction, so that sort of covers that. But there is also the fact that I do believe that the Boltons would fight in very much the same way as House Stark and the Northern Army would. But I think that we have that in House Bolton now. I think just being able to run Roos in a Stark army gave you the ability to run a bit more of a competitive Bolton list proxy, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose. Like I said, it was strange they never opted to give Boltons that sort of flavour where you could take Stark attachments or Stark units or cast Stark units or Lannisters. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't, but we're not here to talk about them. We're here for the Starks.
Here for the true Lords of Winter. Cool. And also, Darren Harris was always one we see in Starks quite a bit as a commander, but again, thematically, it just didn't fit. Darren Harris isn't going to be commanding Stark armies. He's way too far detached from the Stark. Even in a what if world, I think it's a bit far fetched to use Dario. Vargo maybe be a decent one again. Yeah. Cool. Okay. The double ones and double sixes for auto pass and auto fail panics. Panic isn't a massive Stark identity flavour, so I don't think it really affects their game style. Do you?
No, they were. They've always been distinctly average. Although I suppose there's always the risk of those emboldened Tullycav units now failing to panic if you get the right morale buffs. Did Stark still have access to Vicious in their deck as well? Yeah. But they're not that type of faction. That ain't their play style. But they're the type of faction that needs to go toe to toe to power themselves up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree.
So yeah.
Cool. Next up we have the 4 points of attachments that Starks can take. I think this change is going to be quite good for Starks. The problem you're going to have, I think, is there are so many good attachments now that you can take for 1 point in Starks. You're going to be sport for choice, but is that a problem? It's not really a problem, is it, I guess?
It's not. Starks have always had decent tech across all their lists. They get a little bit of everything, don't they? All the shiny stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, they've got some phenomenal attachments. I just think it's going to... like I've said about the other factions, it's going to open up different list building types, make them more thematic, fluffy. You know, like you can have your Howland Reed lists and have all your relevant Cranagmen running around. Or these, like your Brendan Tully attachments and things like that. I think it's going to be it's good, mate. It's going to be good. It's going to be good because it's going to open up all these different list builds that we've alluded to. Um, all these different flavors. If you're into the thematic stuff, then even better.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, cool. And I think we should just get stuck into some of these attachment things. I think we have got a lot to talk about. So the first 2 pages are just attachments that have gone down by a point. So we have Brendan Tully, Vanguard Infiltrator, who has marked target outflank. I've been using him quite a bit in Umber Ravagers to give them outflank because having Umber Ravagers appear behind you or next to you and then hitting a flank and rear is brutal. I paid 2 points for that. Brendan Tully, the infantry attachment, having Dauntless and Iron Resolve, really good way to bolster your defensive plays for House Stark. Both of these now 2 points going down to 1. I think,
Yeah,
yeah, good.
got to make one.
No, I was just saying, but for 1 point now, I think these are both really good choices. Dauntless and Iron Resolve for 1 point. You've got a better morale because of Iron Resolve, and if you do pass it, you're going to end up restoring a wound. For Brendan Tully Outrider for Vanguard Infiltrator. Mark target, great way of chucking out vulnerable tokens. Outflank to be able to bring on a unit from the flank. Outflank a lot better since the change where it became at the start of any turn, the start of any round that you're not the first player. I think for 1 point, these are very strong attachments now.
Yeah, agreed. Brendan Tully with the outflank. I really, really like outflank. And historically, I've always had him in a Stark Outriders because of their ability for hitting units. Like when you do the ambush and you
Yep.
get the panic and weaken out. Now that puts the vulnerable out, that kind of makes the mark target a bit redundant.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you've just alluded to, the Umber Ravagers seems like a natural home for them to be able to put out the vulnerable on the charge. I mean, would you outflank Tully Cav? I don't necessarily think you would because they're quite a expensive unit to put off field.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
but I mean, it's good though because it's based in option. I mean, imagine being in a world where you didn't have to put Winterfell Guardians in Tully Cavaliers. Imagine, dare to dream, dare to dream.
Let's just go and wash your mouth out. You call yourself a Stark. No, but yeah, I mean, the game starts before deployment, even list checking. And if people think you've got an outflanking unit, I think that really impacts the way they deploy.
Yeah,
So the game starts even way before that. so yeah, having that threat of a unit coming in on your flanks that's going to do some serious damage. Yeah, I love outflank. I think it's a great ability, and for a point, and putting out a vulnerable token just from mark target, yeah, incredible, very good value.
mm, mm. And that's the thing. Mark target is start friendly turn, so you could put him in Outriders, charge into the flank or rear, bang out the 3 tokens, and then at the start of your next turn, when the other unit's about to hit the front, you can just chuck out the vulnerable token because you engage them, you're in line of sight, and then just charge in the front with the other unit, and you got another vulnerable token there ready to sort of fire away. So I think for 1 point, I'll especially for 1 point that is dedicated to attachments with the new list building rules. You'd be silly not to at least try it, right?
I think so, mate. Yeah, 100%. It's tokens are a good thing for you if you're trying to push damage through. So
Hmm.
yeah, if you can generate them, then go for it.
Yeah. Obviously, Brilliant Tally on you with Knight on foot is great for 1 point as well. Just to really bolster up your morale resilience.
Yeah, as you've already said, Dauntless and Iron Resolve, mate, for a point. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Affiliation has Tully as well. Means absolutely nothing until we get that second Tully commander. Then we get Rickard Karstark, Vengeful Bannerman, and Mage Mormont. Again, absolutely no change other than the fact they go down for a point. Again, these were okay attachments for 2 points, but they're much better at 1 point, much more playable at 1 point. Obviously, Mage Mormont go down fighting unyielding again, giving you that a bit of sort of a payback damage and uh, sustainability with units, defensive abilities on your units. Rickard Karstark, just very much an offensive attachment for 1 point. Um, Before we get into what you think about these guys, what I really like about these coming down to 1 point is that basically now you can make Rob's Crusade going south because you can use all these attachments for, out of your 4 points of attachment points that we're getting with the new list building thing. So you can run, Rob Stark, King of the North list and march south all these cool bannermen at your side. So what do you think of these two guys with for the 1 point?
Yep. So Rickard Carr Stark brings Stark Fury. That's the same as Benjin in Night's Watch. Really good ability.
Mm,
Being able to do the crit blow and sundering. Again, I'm trying to think of where the synergies lie with that ultimately, because you've got units that have or come with it innately, other than the sundering part.
mhm.
Um, and then uncontrolled rage. Yeah, I'm a little bit on the fence about uncontrolled rage. You've got a relatively good morale.
Yeah.
Um, I can't ever remember a time where it's done me wrong, because most of the time you're lining yourself up to charge anyway. So
Yeah.
um, whether you do or don't is by the by. But like we've already said, for a point, get all these benefits is good. Mage Mormont would go down fighting. Because the new Sworn Swords, the way they've buffed them, they've come with go down fighting now, don't they? As well.
Don't spoil it yet, mate. We ain't got to that yet, have we? Bloody
I
hell.
know,
Would you
but
want
I'm
to talk
trying
about
to.
the Martell changes as well, shall we, Warrior?
I'm just trying to think. Historically, I think I've always run her in Sworn Swords,
Yeah.
but now it's foreseeable that you'll just chuck her in a unit of she bears.
Yeah.
Given that you've got another 5 point unit that does the same thing. Not
Yeah.
to jump ahead, sorry, mate, but
That's all right, you're
you know what I mean. Like, it's tough to not think about one without the other when you've seen it all updated.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, Karstark loyalist maybe should be quite nice for her to go in there. They've got a okay, so I would say. What I will say about uncontrolled rage though is it's a morale test. So I believe the Tully Cavalier rally banner is morale test. So you take the morale test, and if you pass it, you heal a wound from Tully Cavaliers if they're close enough.
Oh yeah, fair point. Yeah, so it's
Salty.
exploiting that healing mechanic, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah. Um, cool. Okay. Then next up we have Jojen Reed and Ciro Farrell. Now both of these have dropped a point, and the reason I've grouped these two together is they've dropped a point, but with an adjustment to abilities. Um, Now, these are the two old cards on screen. We'll just talk about these. I've always loved the idea of the rerolls on ranged attacks from Jojen, but it was always very hard to justify at 2 points. I couldn't ever justify paying 2 points to give my Stark Bowman rerolls. Um, but this has changed, and we're going to see this in a minute. Ciro Farrell has lost Agile. He's the only person, I believe, with Agile in the game. He's now lost this. So let's show you what they've got now. Jojen has got a order-based ability now. So he only has two order tokens. Each time the unit attacks or is attacked, after rolling attack dice or defense dice, you may remove one order token from Jojen if you do choose one. So it's a dual ability now. So it used to be purely offensive. Now this is about defense or offense. You can choose to reroll any attack dice, including ranged attacks, or you can choose to roll your defense dice. So actually, he's now got a bit of a place, I think, in Tully Swarm Shields to really stop those hits going through that the shield wall misses. And Syria Farrell has lost Agile and has gained Water Dance. So each time a rank in this unit is destroyed, target the attacker, they become vulnerable. Now, I think he's lost a little bit of play for Water Dance. I like it, I do think it's good, but I really liked how Agile could team up with Disrupt to give you a -2 to hit in some circumstances. But maybe that's the exact reason of taking it out to stop that stacking. What do you think of these two attachments in?
Always really liked Jojen Reed anyway, and his place for me was inside Stark Bowman to get the rerolls.
Yeah.
When you're shooting, even on 3 or 2 ranks, you're throwing 7 dice, hitting on threes, and it was always just to pick up them extra ones.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now it's token based. Yeah, I think you're right. Defensively, he could be very, very strong.
Mm-hmm.
Getting to reroll any defense dice um, is a is a powerful ability. Like when you think of Night's Watch, you've got Donald Noy for that potentially. and you've got the card.
Mm,
Outside of that, I don't know if there's any other factions that actually offer you rerolls on your defense dice.
yeah,
Now we see it with Jojen, and for 1 point.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that is good. Two order tokens, yeah. So it doesn't, you're not going to get it all the time, but it gives you that option, doesn't it? You're gonna have to play him carefully to benefit from the most from him. But yeah, I think defensively is where you're going to see him at the most now.
yeah. I would have liked to have seen three order tokens on him. I think three order tokens would have meant he had a use for at least half the game.
Yeah,
Um, but I think two order tokens for me is a little bit short of the mark. But hopefully the designers will see that and potentially change that going forward. But I definitely think two tokens is a bit of a short sell on that because yeah, if you buy an attachment, you want him to be working, for the whole game, and if not the whole game, at least half of it, right?
yeah. It's I guess it's going to just make people wait for the clutch moments when it matters.
Yeah,
Um, but I get what you're saying. But he is only 1 point,
yeah,
so it. I think it's balanced. I
yeah.
think that's balanced.
Okay, cool. And Sarah Frill with Water Dance, what do you think of this?
Um, yeah. So again, you've got the token generation, but yeah, I think agile was where it was at for him to stack the abilities, like you said. Yeah, I'm on the fence. Like precision's great, that's worth a point.
Yeah,
Putting a vulnerable out as well for losing ranks. I think I would have preferred to disrupt the agile ability. To be honest,
yeah,
I should have just left him, just made him cheaper.
yeah. Well, I say I've done most of the other things I've touched, so I'm on board with
Yeah,
it. Yeah, cool. Then next up we have the Winterfell Champion and a Credible Survivalist. Now the reason I've grouped these two together is they both have new text on the back of the card. No change in abilities. But now we see this new mechanic where you get a free one if certain criteria are met. So the Winterfell Champion, you will get the first one for free if your army contains Eddard Stark, Lord of Winterfell. So that's Lord of Winterfell, has to be the commander version of Eddard to get him. Can't take the NCUs, has to be the commander. Um, and limited to two per army. Um, and Credible Survivalist, the first one you get for free if your army contains Howland Reed, Lord of the Crannogs. Again, this is the Howland Reed commander, not the NCU. The Credible Survivalist also ignores the usual attachment restrictions. Now, this part is very important. So I think this will now see the Credible Survivalist played a lot more because you can
mm,
stack attachments on it. Because, you know, for all these updates, all the people I spoke to, one of the things that keeps coming up is potentially going into this 5-2 split for tabletop versus NCU activations, because you're going to try and your best to maximize those four extra points for attachments. With the Credible Survivalist, if you take Hal and Reed, obviously you get the first one for nothing. Then it gives you another additional, 4 points on top of that. Even if you don't take Hal and Reed, you're still going to get the Credible Survivalist, ignoring the usual attachment restrictions. So I think that's really cool, and I think that we'll see more. I've never seen the Credible Survivalist played since before 2021 update when I forget the guy's name, the Australian guy that played Starks to really high level, and he had the Credible Survivalist in Stormcrow Dervishes, but I can't remember his name. Someone will put it in the comment section below if you remember. But great player. But again, two really nice attachments. Again, I think we're going to see the Credible Survivalist a lot more now. What do you think of these new attachments on these new versions of the attachments?
I really like the mechanic. I like what they're trying to do. The Winterfell Champion is a relatively new attachment as far as Stark releases go because he comes with the Winterfell guards, doesn't he?
Yeah,
And then obviously being able to give a unit the keyword crit blow, and then obviously making enemies successfully charged become weakened that's incredible. That's more token generation, and you could potentially double down on hits
mm,
for a point.
yeah,
Yeah, really good. And I like the fact that they've made that thematically. You can have two in your army. First one's free if you've got Eddard Stark, Lord of Winterfell.
yeah.
Yeah, So you can, yeah, it will start pushing list builds towards those sort of units that need that extra keyword.
Yeah.
Um, and then obviously the Cranagman Survivalist. It'd be interesting to know how much he was played before the season's update, because obviously you get the attachments box. You only get one Winterfell Guardian. You get a couple of the Survivalists. You get the Cranagman, the one who gives you the Overwatch
Walden. Yeah.
Warden.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else you get. Actually, do you get a
Berserker.
Umber?
Yeah, Umber Berserker champion. You get the Stark Swarmshaw champion. Mormont
Yeah. So
veteran.
yeah. So generally out of that box, I mean, if you bought the OG starter, you already got the Umber champion and the Sworn captain or whatever he was.
Yeah.
And then you would potentially use the one attachment for overwatching shooter units. I never used the survivalist, so I think they may have recognised it weren't getting much play, and so they're trying to make it more appealing for people to run these howl and read lists and go nuts, basically. Because Elusive Escape's a strong ability, again, pumping out the weakened token. And Pathfinder, now, everyone underestimates Pathfinder because just just having the ability to ignore dangerous, hindering, and rough keywords is big, especially when you're trying to get that mobility game up on other factions and they struggle. You're not going to suffer with any of those penalties.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. I think it's a really nice ability. This is overlooked quite a bit. And again, the ignoring attachment restrictions, I think, is big for the survivalist.
Yeah, so I mean, think what kind of build could you put him in that's going to absolutely break the game? You could,
The one that
uh,
jumps out is Rob Stark Commander, because obviously I think has he got Swift Retreat or whatever he's got, and then so no, I
Swift
think
Strike.
Swift Strike. Yeah, so you can bounce out. They can't pivot and become weakened, and you heal because I think he's got regroup as well. So
So maybe there's a play to put him in dervishes as well. Then,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's nice. I think again, we're sitting here and we're doing what we wouldn't believe would be possible, mate. We're talking about taking Cranagman survivalists.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And the fact that it ignores attachment limits, yeah, you're going to see some really good combinations coming out of that.
Yeah. I mean, you can buy the attachments you want to buy, and if you've got a point left, you can go. Well, I'll tell you what, I've got nothing to lose. Do you know what I mean? I'll bang a Cranagman survivalist in that unit or in that unit, and you might get some use out of it.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
exactly. What's there to lose? So yeah,
yeah. Free stuff. We all like free stuff.
we love
Um,
free stuff.
so next up we have Rickard Carstock, Lord of Carhold and a Lawless Captain. The reason both of these from the same page is because the only change here is to superior numbers, and it's very much the same as Domineering Pride, very much the same as the Conviction rules that are coming out. It's changed from being fewer to uh, the same or fewer remaining ranks. It is also changed that you now cannot expend weaken tokens as well when a unit attacks. Now the weaken token thing is really important, I think, because I think that can really pull the teeth out of an attack. And everyone loves rerolls, right? But I think it's a nice change. Again, Rickard Karstark is the commander version, so it doesn't cost you any points. But the Lord is captured for 1 point, giving you that furious charge and superior numbers. This is a very nice balance between an aggressive attachment and a defensive attachment.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I really like superior numbers and stifling your enemy's attack ability just for having more ranks. Yeah, if you get that jump on them, then chances are you're going to strip a rank. It's not common to do a bunch of damage and like not at least strip 4 wounds off a unit. That's where I was going with that
Yeah.
before I got caught up in my own thoughts.
I thought for a moment he was buffering.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I was mentally buffering, but like, especially with the furious charge putting out the vulnerable,
Yeah.
like you're forcing them re-rolls. So unless you're going up against something really strong armor, and if you're lacking that keyword sundering, then it's foreseeable you'll squeeze through, and then when you get the retaliatory strikes, like they're not going to be able to spend the weekend. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's huge. I think it's really nice, especially when you're charging in, you're getting the re-rolls, and your opponent wants to spend your weakened token, they can't because you've got the same amount of ranks as they have, which most of the time is the case. So I think it's really, really cool, really nice. And I think it does give Rickard Carstock a little bit more play as a commander as well, which is quite nice.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, cool. And then next up we have Brown and Hodor and Yumba Champion. Now, I'll hold my hands up. I didn't realise Yumba Champion had changed until I started collating all the assets for this video. And mate, what a change he's had. So first and foremost, we got a change on Brown Hodor. So the second Hodor, the big one, has changed now. Now it is exactly the same as it was before, except that now enemies the unit disengages from may not pivot, so it's stopping them from pivoting as well now. Quite nice. That is to represent because this attachment loses its abilities after you use this order because that's Hodor holding back the doors and getting ripped apart by the white. So stopping him from pivoting is quite nice, quite a little touch, quite thematic. Does it make him better than he was before? A touch, still not. I also think it's going to make him a much better choice than was before, but certainly gives you something extra if you're planning to bring Summer or you've got a plan around Arya Stark as an NCU. Umber Champion gains Furious Charge. We just spoke about Furious Charge, so now he gives you Insight and Furious Charge. What a combo that is. So you've got the Insight, gives you highest tactile value and vicious. Furious Charge lets you chuck out vulnerable on the charge. Now all of a sudden, you've got some abilities that really allow you to push damage through the vulnerable token and make the most of that vicious order of Insight. I really like these changes. I'll definitely use some more Umber Champions. What do you think of these?
Yeah, Brandon Hodor, like you said, not much of a change. And I personally would only ever bring in before wanting to bring Summer and then go for the big activation Stark list.
Yeah.
Which is all the dogs and all the attachments. But yeah, it's like you said, it's thematic. I'm a champion. Wow, that's like what a glow up, right? Furious Charge as well. Highest tactile. So you're going to want to put him in number berserkers, aren't you? That's going to be the home.
Yeah.
Get them into combat, put out a vulnerable, go for the vicious as well. 9 dice.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, try and get the keyword card out or influence for crit blow or sundering or both.
Yeah. I'll tell you where I do like the idea of him as well is in Great Axes. Because obviously they're saving on sixes. Now a vulnerable token, you're saving on sixes. When you do roll the sixes, you're going to re-roll them because of Furious Charge. Giving them, obviously when they're, I think it's when they're on the lowest rank, they give out the panic token as well. Or it might be when they charge. No, it's when they charge. So when they charge now, you'll be putting out a vulnerable and the panic token. So it's
So you're going to force that vicious panic test, aren't you? Yep.
Yeah. It's just basically you've got a built-in devastating impact.
For free.
For free indeed, mate. Yeah. Oh, mate, don't choke about it, mate. I won't do it now.
Yeah, sorry.
But
I'm trying not to.
So yeah, really nice glow ups there for those two attachments. Then we have our first unit change, so Stark Swan Swords. Obviously, if you were coming into the video, just coming in blind, thinking, I can't wait to find out what changes Stark's going to have. I'm really excited about. I can't wait. This one's been fucked up entirely because Carl's already told you what's happening. These guys have now got to go down fighting.
Premature revelation.
But yeah, I'll go down fighting. It's a nice rule. It's a little something for nothing. I don't think it's going to change him. I don't think it's going to break the game. I don't think it now makes you take Stark Sworn Swords over another choice you were going to be taking. But dealing wounds as you lose ranks, that's a nice ability. It is a nice ability. I've always liked Stark Sworn Swords anyway, so I'll still be taking them. It just means you give it a little bit of a kickback every time you lose a rank. Do you think it's going to change their pick rate or their gameplay?
I think so. So, given that you now get the point for free, right? Where I was going was before you would take Rickon Osher and Stormcrow Mercenaries, and then you get Shaggy Dog for the extra points. Now you don't need to take Stormcrow Mercs. You just take your Stark Sworn Swords and have Rickonosher in a bit of a stronger bunker, I feel.
Yeah,
Because going out fighting is good ability, and then obviously she gives counter strike,
yeah,
and then you're buffing them up. The more you lose rank, so
yeah,
I think they're good for 5 points. You getting that extra ability on top of what they've already got. Yeah, really good.
yeah, yeah. Nice, and it's always good when you get when the your basic house 5 point unit is excited or it's exciting about taking them. It's I think it's really nice for the game because you want to see the Stark Swarms on the table. You want to see the Baratheon Wardens. You want to see the Lannister Guardsmen. So when they get bringing these guys up a little bit more, just to give you that little more incentive to take them, big fan of it. Big fan of it.
Yeah, it sort of what it does. It takes the interest away from the out of faction stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Brings you into faction, which makes the game more thematic.
yeah, 100%, mate, 100%. So that's a nice little change for the Stark Swarm Swords. And obviously, guys, as we go through this video, please do leave your comments in the comment section below, because we're really interested in how you guys are using them. Your feedback has been great throughout this series that we've done. There's been loads of really cool stuff being popped up, and it's really great you guys aren't afraid of putting us up when we make mistakes, because I don't make very many mistakes, but I do make them mostly because my guests normally fuck me up. Um,
No comments.
Next up, we have Start Bowman. So the change here being that now, where it used to be you had to roll a 1 on your armor save in the same way as the hammer rule works for Baratheon Wardens and Iron Makers, now that doesn't count anymore. Now it's just if the defender suffers any wounds, they become weakened. Now, I'm really like this, and I love the idea around it. I think I'm going to be taking these more often now. I was taking them anyway, but I do think it's almost a guarantee you can do a wound. Do you know what I mean? From an attack. So just chucking out weak and left, right, and centre. Getting shots off the swords, getting shots off their activation. I think it's going to be really nice. I've already used them quite a lot in Roderick lists. I think I'm going to be taking them out a little bit more. I think Eddard's commander card allows them to shoot as well. It's not just melee. Fury of the North, I believe. Is that right? Am I making it up?
Oh, it's been a while since I played it, mate. So I couldn't
What
remember the
right? So
exact
what I'll
wording.
do is, if you talk about what you think around these, and I'm gonna look at the app and double check what I've just said, but come back in a minute pretending that I remembered off the top of my head because I'm that clever. Right? Go.
Yep, 100%. Right. So arrow volley, ignoring line of sight and ignoring units and terrain with determined line of sight was always good. Anyway, the relying on the defender rolling ones to become weakened was okay because if you got enough dice through, it was always a high probability. Now any wounds are a guarantee, so it's foreseeable that any attachments that can give them precision, I think you're going to be looking at very strong units that ignore line of sight and just be firing out precision shots to generate the auto weakens.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I just remembered that it's Fury for Fallen does allow you to make an attack action. Doesn't have to be a melee attack. So obviously Eddard, if you put him inside these, will better get a shot as well. That's something that I've just remembered off the top of my head.
Your memory is really really good, mate. Credit to you.
World's GT Start Champion 2004. I'm just saying, so 2024, sorry, not 2004.
Yeah,
You know,
2004.
yeah, I actually won it before the game was released. That's how good I was. And yeah. Right, anyway, um, so yeah, it's nice. Precision as an attachment. You mean is that Jockin that gives them precision?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
nice.
So
Dirty.
I was chatting to somebody else the other night, and they were saying that actually you could take Jockin as your attachment. Yeah, it pushes them up a bit, but it gives them precision.
Yeah,
And if you get out of 7 dice hitting on threes, odds are you're going to get a 6.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I guess the only thing is it's a good combo. Jockin is a I think he's a 2 point attachment now, isn't he? He's a 2 point attachment
Yep.
that won't
He is.
come out of your 3 points. So you have to, it's a commitment. But we've got credible and survivalists to make that numbers up, so that's all good. Cool. Yeah, I like it. Nice change. The next change we see is Stark Outriders. The change here being ambush, giving you the other token. We covered this last night with Night's Watch, but if people don't play Night's Watch or don't care about Night's Watch, this will be the first time they're encountering it potentially on one of our videos. So the change is now that you also put out the vulnerable token. So if you successfully charge into the flank or rear, which cavalry are more than capable of doing, you make the enemy panic, vulnerable, and weaken. That's the only change. It's a nice change. I like it. We spoke about it before, but yeah, Stark Outriders. How you feeling about ambush from Stark Outriders, Cole?
Yeah, it's a really positive change. It's a change for the good. And if you can get them outflanking, even better.
Yeah, yeah. Don't fuck it up, mate. Don't
no,
don't talk about it yet. All right, right. But
no,
yeah,
no, I won't.
but I mean, I'll be honest. Like, I hadn't played Stark Outriders for a little while. I played them when me and Steve filmed the Harrowing of the Stony Shore, the new Simon narrative scenario, Greyjoy vs Starks. I'll say I used them. I didn't use them. I lent Steve them. Steve used them. I won the game, but Steve used Stark Outriders. And actually, I quite liked them. I quite like the tactical reposition. That tactical reposition puts you in a better place to potentially get into the flank of enemy unit to push those tokens out. At the time, it was only panicked and weakened. Now, panicked, vulnerable, and weakened. I think it makes them a lot better, and I'm excited to try these guys again. I put them down for a while when they went from 3+ to hit to 3 or 4+ to hit. I'm looking forward to picking them back up again and see if I can get them to work.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, especially in that scenario, they've just become really good.
Mm.
You can survive that long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so they are a good unit for 6 points, and it's a unit that can generate 3 lots of tokens potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, worth the investment.
Definitely. Especially when you consider things like Rob Commander that gives you a hit and run, so you can charge in, hit, dart back out again, ready to charge again, do another load of tokens because it's not an order, just an attack ability. So every time you attack, you can chuck those tokens out again. So it really gives you the ability to just bounce in and out and play cavalry in the way that I feel cavalry should be played.
Hmm.
But that's a conversation about Riders High Guard and another point. Next up, we have a change. So that's all the units done. Then we go into NCUs. Rob Stark, King in the North. So this is the old card. It has now changed. Obviously, this was focused on you claiming the horses to be able to come on. It's now changed to bring it in line with other outflanking esque abilities. Wolf's Cone is at the start of the deployment. You may target one friendly combat unit, so that has changed. The old version required you to choose a unit. You didn't have a choice, you had to choose one. This is may target, which is nice, gives you options. Until the end of the game, that unit gains the outflank ability, which we know outflank. I haven't got to read this, you know what the outflank ability is. He also
Hmm.
has Wolf Swiftness now as an influence. He had an influence ability before. It wasn't an influence before. It was attach his card to somebody, but he now comes with an influence, and that influence gives you +1 to your movement. So that's really nice. I mean, if you're worried about Tally Cavaliers before, how about outflanking movement 6 Tally Cavaliers? That's a pretty fucking scary scenario, isn't it?
You wouldn't want to be staring a barrel at, would you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that influence ability is really good. That's so much better than the last card, like his last attach ability.
Yeah.
That +1 moves clutch. It really is. Like you said, if you've got them Tully Cav and you put them in outflank, yeah, a movement 6 Tully Cav unit, yeah, you're in danger.
Yeah. Or a movement 7 Umber Ravager unit.
Or a movement 7 Stark Outrider unit.
Yeah. It's I mean, and this is just the outflanking stuff we're looking at, but even things like putting him on berserkers, movement 7 berserkers now. Dervishes, movement 7 dervishes. I think the Cranagman Bog Devils movement 6 as well. I can't remember the top of my head exactly, but potentially those guys as well, giving you movement 7 Cranagman Bog Devils. It really, I think that plus a movement is really nice, and I think we're going to see Rob start kicking north just a little bit more often now. The only thing that might stop it is the fact that Eddard NCU is so good that if you take him, you can't take Rob Stark as King of the North. But I mean, again, this is just showing the cards have changed, and I'm sure people are going to try them and prove us wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's exciting times. Like we said, any updates like this always bring new list building, and I'm excited to see where the theory crafting goes.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, cool. So we're getting tactic cards, and we're looking at Berserker Tactics, Sustained Assault, and Assault Orders, and the three cards that have changed: Berserker Tactics from Great Numbers deck, Sustained Assault from Mage Moments deck, and Assault Orders from the basic deck. Now, so these are new cards. So Assault Orders has changed in line with every other Assault Orders. I think the Stark, we discussed it last night, didn't we, Carl? I think Stark's one hasn't been impacted as much as potentially some other people's have, because a Tully Cavalier charge with Assault Orders on lowest rank, it's still hitting with 8 dice rather than 9. Um, Ravagers, again, the lowest of the values I think is 5, so still extremely strong, good dice values to put on charging cavalry. Um, Sustained Assault is the new version, so now if the unit began the turn engaged with a defender, it rolls the highest tactical value, and it may re-roll any attack dice. If it targets a House and Mormont unit, the defender also becomes vulnerable. Important to remember, the second part that isn't reliant on you starting the turn engaged. So you can charge, play this card, and they become vulnerable. It's a bit of a duff way to use it, but I mean it's a way to use it. Get out your hand, play your cards. As long as you're playing cards, the game's fun, right?
Yep.
Berserker Tactics. This we all see this change coming. It needed to happen. I don't think it's been nerfed as much as they probably think it has been, because I think this is I take 1 wound and my Tully Cav have now got critical blow. I think it's yeah.
You don't even need you don't even need to take a wound. Just choose one,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and then you can suffer additional wounds to get the extra stuff.
yeah,
Like, yeah, if anything, I know there's the case for I'd rather do 4 auto wounds and then deal with the rest of it, but I think this is stronger, and I think Psycho Steve pointed it out. Like, you're going to get that crit blow on a unit that's already delivering sundering. Like,
yeah.
it's a card for the better. I think they've actually buffed it.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is, charging for a bog. You're charging for a bog. You success rate the charge. Obviously, it requires you not to roll a 1. You charge for a bog for Tully Cavaliers. You're taking 1 wound. Then all of a sudden you've got critical blow, and you've got the reroll attack dice. So
Yeah,
you can charge with bog. Doesn't matter. You can just roll with your
like,
thing. Yeah. I don't think they've nerfed it as much as they think they've nerfed it, or potentially they didn't think they were nerfing it at all and knew this was going to be strong. Um, I guess that's open to interpretation. But as a card, I'm still excited about using Berserker Tactics. I think in a world where Sansa hasn't been changed, because the only issue change was obviously Robb Stark. Sansa hasn't been
yeah,
changed. A lot of people are calling for that. I don't feel she needed to be changed. I think she was. I think she's good. I think it's whenever I talk to people about the strength of Starks, I always talk to them about the fact that it's the packages, it's the combos that make them so strong. It's the Tully Cavaliers with the Winterfell Guardian, with Berserker Tactics, with Sansa. It's a lot of points investment for that. It's a very strong points investment, but it's not something that just comes because one of those things exists. It's the combination of all of it together. But anyway, yeah, these 3 cards. What do you think?
yeah. Well, we've discussed assault orders, so we don't need to say any more around that. It doesn't, like you said, doesn't impact the Starks as much as it does the other factions.
Hmm.
Sustained assault, yeah, it's that free vulnerable token and bonus if you're engaged at the start.
Yeah,
Yeah, and berserk tactics change for the good, but not for the worst, for the better. Um, but yeah, like you just said, I don't get the call for the Sands and Earth. I think she's worth her points considering other 4-point NCUs in the game. Like
yeah,
you just said, it's the cogs in the machine, isn't it?
yeah,
That just like synergize and work well.
yeah,
And yeah, berserker tactics, despite what they've done to it, still works really well.
yeah, yeah. It's good. They're good changes. I look forward to playing them. Look forward to trying it out. I've not run Starks in the Season 6 update yet. A couple of games Targaryens, a couple of games of Greyjoys, but I'm looking forward to getting Starks back on the table because I really do love playing Starks. They've got such a cool, well, they really just embody their what is their faction identity. Um, cool. Okay. Well, that is all the changes for House Stark in Season 6. We got through that a lot quicker than I thought we were going to. So I think we might be getting quite good at this.
Yeah, well, it don't help when I jump ahead of myself, does it?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Did they discuss all the changes in slide one? You fucking do fly through the rest. Um, cool. Okay. So yeah, at the end again. Obviously, I've already asked you the questions. I've already answered the questions in the grade job video, which at the minute hasn't been sent out, but I'll discuss my bits and pieces. But I think season 6, personally, is going to be good for House Stark. I think you have lots of attachments available to you as a Stark general. I think being able to take the Stark children for cheaper allows you access to the dogs. So hopefully we're going to see more armies with more activation, more direwolves. Because the game was, although the game was very much um, dominated by House Stark and direwolves uh, prior to 2021. I think that now that it's more balanced and would be able to withstand the mass activation with dogs and stuff. And I really just, direwolves are just such a big part of the Song of Ice and Fire universe that it's nice to see them on the table when it's possible to. And I think this update allows you to potentially run those. I would have liked to have seen the Start Children ignore attachment restrictions. I think that would have been quite cool to just push people to bring the additional attachments, but we played what we got. So I think, yeah, as far as how Stark is concerned in season 6, I think we've got lots to be excited about, lots to look forward to. I mean, how do you feel that Stark sit in the landscape of season 6?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a real upturn for the Starks. They're an aggressive faction. They've got great cards in their deck. They've got access to all the good tech. Tullycav Winterfell Guardians prevail, and that's just gonna because you've got the point free, so
Mm.
you've now got extra points floating around. What's to stop people running 3 units of Tullycav and 3 Winterfell Guardians? Other than your bank balance, like you only get one of them in a attachments box. So
And social skills, mate. Social skills should stop that from happening as well.
yeah, I mean, if you don't want any friends, go for that. Go for that combination.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're an aggressive faction, so the only way is up, isn't it? You're going to see. Uh, it's great. I've tried the triple dog list, triple kids list in season 4, I think it was, and yeah, it was fun. Didn't have much to punch about because I was running Stormcrow mercs. Now you can put them in a better infantry unit, and so
Mm.
I think they've got a bit more staying power, a bit more punching power.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Awesome. Okay. Cool. Sweet. And I mean, normally we ask for what is your wow thing from season 6, and I don't think there is anything we haven't discussed already. Mm, yeah, I'm not really sure. What do you have you got any more wow things you've discovered over the last couple of days?
There's no more wows for me. No, I'm still excited about these extra points for attachments. I think that's really good.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, that. It, for me, is going to be the thing for this season.
yeah, for sure. Cool. Okay, cool. So that leads us to the end of the Stark then. So, well, not the end of Starks, but the end of this Stark overview. Um, sorry, mate. I'm buffering.
No, it's been a long
It
day.
has been a long day. It has been a long day. Long day editing assets. Um, if you have enjoyed the conversation between myself and Carl, we'll be doing more. We'll be releasing Greyjoys later on tonight. We'll be releasing Martells tomorrow, and leaves us with neutrals to cover. Then we've covered all of it, and then I will be jumping into the faction deep dive series all over again. So I'll be getting my faction experts in. One of which is Mikkel, who has just won the Invitational with Greyjoys. It's amazing, amazing thing. Well done to him for doing that. Um, and we'll be jumping into those and jumping into tactics card deep dives because I think this time we need to get those out and get those out to people to really get back into the game because I think the game's in a really good place. If you do enjoy our videos, please do like the video, please do share with your friends, and if you like it enough that you want to support us a little bit more, please do subscribe and hit the bell notification so that you get told when we release new content. Your support, as always, is appreciated. We love having you guys on board. We love having you on the streams with us and just join the conversations. Do check out all of our social medias. Yeah, I think that's it. Winter is coming, Cole. Are you ready?
I am, mate. I am.
Cheers coming on today, bud, and talking to us about Starks, mate. I know that you used to be a solid Stark player back in the day, so it must be nice to see the Starks getting out and about again.
Yeah, it is, mate, and it does make me sort of wish I was still playing them. But I've got enough factions on the go at the moment, so maybe not just yet. We'll see.
Mate, we got time. We've got time.
We've got plenty of time. You're right.
Cheers, man. You take care.
All right. See you, dude.
Bye.